In this lecture, I'm going to continue the discussion about helping adolescents develop good character. And I'm going to go back to the metaphor. If you'll recall, the metaphor was of the adult, the parents or teachers driving the car and inviting our son or daughter or student from the back seat to the front seat. In the back seat, we have structured their entire journey. They're going to go where we tell them to go. They're going to do what we tell them to do. We're creating a framework for the rest of their life. Now, when we invite the young people as they reach their adolescence into the front seat, what are we doing? Well, remember, they're entering a period when they're trying to forge their own identity. Who am I and how do I fit into the world? And those two things are built upon growing competency, realizing their potentials, realizing their talents, and then learning how to function in their world with their friends, with their teachers, with their coaches, and everything like that. So when you invite them up to the front seat, you are creating a partnership with them, and you will be guiding them, teaching them, cajoling them to think about their life and to reflect on their life and to become a reasoning person concerning the decisions in their life. That's what driving the car is. So that the very things that they want to develop their competency, they want to realize who they are, they want to fit in with their world. You now, through the process of conversation, through helping them to think, helping them to reflect, helping them to make good decisions about their life, you will partner with them on this journey that I would call it's a journey to their own happiness. The happiness comes by realizing your human potentials, your human capabilities, and living in a world among friends, being a positive contributor. So you've got to notice this connection between your driving of the car, your guidance, and what they want. You're not imposing something upon them. What you're doing is you're trying to foster and steer the very natural inclinations that are within them. So this steering is a little bit like a nudging through conversation. I'll go into detail how we go about doing that. And it's toward their own happiness. Now, when you're holding the wheel, I'll remind you, why do I use this in the metaphor? Because there are still non-negotiables about the direction you're going to go. It's a forward direction. It's a direction of growth. And hopefully it's a direction of flourishing. And it's a direction of thriving. So things like having goals in life, exercising self-discipline, learning how to be compassionate, learning how to help other people. These are non-negotiables. Young person in their teens says, well, I don't want to do anything this summer. I don't want to do anything. Well, no, let's talk. You will do something. We can talk about your choices, but having no goals and having no direction, that's a non-negotiable. You must. And this is what is meant by the steering wheel. And we'll talk about how to remain in that relationship. But there's certain things that you cannot let up on, because that's when we will give our children over to their lower human impulses that can affect and even ruin their lives. Now, what is the engine or the fuel for steering the car and making the car go forward? It's conversation. It's a conversation in which is the nature of which is such that you grow closer together, creating that partnership. So the end result of your conversation is your son or your daughter or your student feels like, I've got a partner. I trust my dad. I trust my mom. They know what's best for me. That's very challenging. And especially those of us who are adults, we have to make that transition from having them ride in the back seat to now joining them in a conversation in which we can help them think about becoming the person that they're capable of becoming. This conversation has to be very, very respectful. And you have to be interested, genuinely interested in their life. Now, why do I say that? Because as the children are growing up, they say a lot of nonsensical things, and you think to yourself, oh, well, forget about that. But once you want to build up this relationship, this partnership built on conversation, you have to be intensely interested in what they have to say, and you have to listen. Sometimes you may be thinking in the back of your mind, what on earth is this? But the listening creates trust. It creates the fact that my dad is interested, my mom is interested, my teacher is interested in what I'm doing and where I'm going. Secondly, the conversations have to honor the children all the time. And what do I mean by that? Once you begin to cultivate these conversations that lead to reflection, lead to thinking, they may say things that you're not totally in agreement with, or you just think it's not as much as it could be. Those are not the things right away you want to focus on. What you want to focus on is honoring them. Honoring all the good that you can pull out. And I don't care how naughty children are, even teenagers, there's lots of good inside of them. And as we build up the conversation on a regular basis, if you can, you're looking for things to always say, wow, I'm so proud of you. That is terrific. What you did there, I'm going to tell mom about, or I'm going to tell dad about. This is wonderful. We're so proud of you, how you worked hard, how you persevered, all the things that will support the pathway, but your foremost goal is to show them, to illustrate them in voice and in action. My goodness, we're proud of you. We honor you. We respect you. Where they fall on the spectrum of ability or interpersonal skills, that is beside the point. All of them can grow, and you want to latch on to every chance that you can of what they can grow on. The third thing you have to pay attention to is your commitment. They have to recognize you're there for them and you want these conversations. So you may have a special time, you may have a special place, you may have a special activity. Doesn't have to be scheduled. You're very, very busy. I know many parents are professionals occupied with their jobs, which is understandable. It's normal. But you separate time, you separate space so that you can talk. You can have these conversations. You have to be very careful not to write off these times as something insignificant, because they may not be a deep or robust conversation, but their sense of commitment to them. Come on, Joe, let's go take a walk. Let's go get a piece of pie. Let's do something where I can illustrate to you, you matter to me, and I want to know everything about you. So we're committed. Then in our conversations, we teach reflection. Most of our conversation can be questioning, can be making them think about it a little bit more. Well, have you thought about it this way? Have you thought about it that way? What would happen if you did this? What would happen if you did that? So you are putting the onus of the burden for thinking upon them. And because and once again, in teen years, once you begin doing the top-down thing, many times they'll listen, especially as your conversation gets stronger and stronger and your relationship, pioneering their life, becomes a partnership. They will listen to top-down suggestions. But much of the early start, through much of their teenage years, you're just asking them questions to compel them. Think, son, think, daughter, on the decisions you're making and why, and what is the background for it, and do you have enough information to make that decision? So that these questions you're kind of like a fisherman, and that's the last part of it. You're looking for those little sparks. This is a direction they want to go in. So you're respecting even things that might not seem that important to you, but you're listening. You're listening like a fisherman to pick up, I realize there's something in their heart they just spoke. There's something in their future or plans that they just spoke. And so I'm going to focus more questions on that area. You're nurturing conversation through this kind of thoughtful questioning so that their conversation becomes richer and fuller. And through the conversation, you discover more about your son or daughter, and you can do more directing and more steering. And I'd like to make this point. Through this kind of relationship in the teen years and the adolescence, all the way into the 20s, and I would say even into the 30s or 40s, you are creating between your son and daughter and yourself a lasting relationship, which your partners, for the joy of their life, for the direction of their life, not a judging, not a condemning, but a support. And let me tell you something that I've observed over all these years working with young people. Mom and dad mean more to them than anyone in the world. I don't care how much they're happy about their friends or they boast about a teacher. Who means the most to them? Mom or dad. And if you have taken the time to create this kind of relationship through conversation, through respectful, honoring conversation, lifelong, they'll realize I have an issue, I have a decision, I have a problem. Who do I go to? Dad. Who do I go to? Mom. Because history has told me those are the two people who care about me more than anyone else. And that's what you're aiming for, so that you can partner with them, becoming who they can become and being a productive person in society, and perhaps even help them find a purpose for their life. But that's all through the process of conversing. Let me give you some practical examples so you understand, maybe in a little bit more detail, some of the issues that adolescents face during these years. Number one, they have to always have goals all the time. Goals in school. What are your goals in math? What are your goals in writing? What are your goals in social studies? And so on and so forth. And sometimes they'll say things like, I hate math, or I hate writing. I hate to... Son, that's understandable. We all hate lots of things. Nevertheless, there's things we have to do, and we have to do them well. So you fill up your time, you fill up your schedule with meaningful goals. Everything has its goal that you're working toward. Someone says, well, I don't want to do anything this summer. As I mentioned earlier in this video, sorry, that's a non-negotiable. You're not going through the summer hanging out. You're not going through the summer playing video games. I know you'll do that, and I know you have fun, but you are going to have goals. This is a little bit top-down, but it's necessary because they're still kids and they have to be guided. They need to learn about self-discipline, which with adolescents is mostly time management. Personally, I like to fill up their whole days. I think that's the most advantageous. And if you can, maneuver the conversation to help them understand, it is the people during their teen years that have attempted so many different things and have invested themselves. They end up with the richest soul, the richest capacity when they reach college or when they get beyond college. So how are you going to use your time? They say, Dad, I want to hang out with my friends. Not a problem. How much time? Dad, I like video games. Okay, we'll do that. But how much time? What's reasonable? So that you don't interfere with a productive life. We all need recreation. We all need times with our friends when we just talk about nonsense. That's all human. That's all needed. But you have some management of time. That's self-control. And you learn what you're going to involve yourself in and what you're not going to involve yourself in. And your responsibilities. In their teen years, they need carefully defined responsibilities at home, at school, in their sports team, in their music productions. They need the responsibility. And I'll come back to that illustration in school, where sometimes they'll say, well, I just don't like math. Look, it doesn't matter. This is life. You want to graduate, you want to go on to college, then getting a good grade in that course is necessary. You don't need to like it. There are certain things in life you have to do. And not only have to do, you have to do them well. Right? See, this is a conversation. Now, I would hope you'd say it in a much more gentle fashion than I just presented it. That's kind of my personality, not necessarily right. But you don't let it go. You have responsibilities and you have to fulfill them. That's what life is all about. In any environment, in any situation, you have responsibilities. Don't be afraid to up your expectation at home, the kinds of things you think they should do on a regular basis, and hold them to it and explain the context. This is what happy and productive people and well associated people with others do. There's many things they do in order to fulfill their responsibilities. And then they have to learn also to respect others and to consider who can I help, and to consider, Am I rightly related to my teachers? Let's go back to that teaching illustration again. What if they don't like their math teacher? Well, you know what? That doesn't matter. That teacher deserves your respect. That teacher deserves your kindness. That's what is normal. This goes back to, these are the non-negotiables. Well, I hate this person. Well, I hate that. If you're trying to grow to become the person you can grow, you can not let those kinds of thoughts make home in your heart. They're only going to hurt you. They won't hurt the other person you don't like. They're going to hurt you. So you're with them, fostering their relationships with people. How? In what way? Who can you help? Can you volunteer? This is a part of filling their time productively. Over the summer, it's a great opportunity to not only have goals, but who can you help this summer? Who can you be a friend to? Who could you help do things that are unable to? That is normal. These are a part of the non-negotiables. And you as the parent or as the teacher in their life can't let go of those things because they moan and groan. You know, our culture is immersed in entertainment, in fun, in pleasure. And I understand all of that, and I'm not arguing against any of that, but they can't take over your teen's life. Social media can't take it over. Gaming can't take over. They can do those things, but help them to understand their use of time, understand their relationships with others, and understand their responsibilities. Couple more things then. Introduce them to opportunities. Now, this may take your time, this may take your energy, this may take your money, but you want to keep expanding. In these teen years, expand the things they can do. Otherwise, often in an entertainment culture, they just latch onto something that's counterproductive, and that's all they do, instead of expanding their soul into different areas of interest, from the realm of science to the realm of the arts, to expand what they can do and who they might become. That's a part of the conversation. But you're looking for chances to make suggestions, to offer your help or offer your finances so that they can do what they might want to explore, to use this time, this adolescence time, to grow based on the neuroplasticity, that this is the time when they're expanding who they can become. And encourage them, if you can, to take these kinds of risks. But I hope you can see in this, I mean, there's much more, many more details, and they're going to come out between you and your son or daughter or your student as you drive the car together, to lead them. You're doing a great work to help a person find their niche in life, really how to deal with life, how to think about it, how to make decisions, how to wrestle with factors of decisions, so that they choose what is best for their growth, what is best for their impact on others, and maybe a little bit, they can begin to discover a purpose for their life that is not just financial, that is not just related to prestige, but they know how I've lived my life has benefited others, and I have reached the highest level of my capacity. This is a wonderful time, and I hope you take some of these words to heart and realize what wonderful impact you can have on your son or daughter. You drive the car, fuel it with lots of communication, and then you'll discover the wisdom in that, where you can lead your son or daughter to become what they can become. All right, thank you.